Hi everyone and welcome to the studio today. I'm going to show you a very quick tutorial and it's going to be this piece that I created the other day while I was playing with embossing powders. So I'm just going to show you how I made this one. The first thing I'm going to do is just get a smaller amount of these pieces. I don't really need too much, so I'm just breaking them up. Going to make sure I've got a good bit of white in there. And I don't want anything too dark, so I'll probably have more light than dark, I'd say. All right, so I'm simply going to chop all of this and I'm just going to create some scrappy stripes. So this is just the first step. Just going to move all that well out of the way and kind of mix it so that you've got a little bit of each colour, like in various areas on your work surface. So don't have all the white in one spot. Kind of mix it around a little. It's as simple as that. I'll just do this a little bit more here. Okay, so that's quite randomly placed here. I now need to form this into a log shape. So I'm simply going to squish to create my log. Just make a nice log. Roll on your work surface to smooth. Okay, and I can see I've got a good spattering of clay along the length of the log. Sorry, good spattering of different colours. The whole log is clay. All right, so now I've got to this point. Let's give it a good roll. Smooth out those lumps and bumps. And then I'm going to start twisting. And I'm going to compress as I twist. So you can see I'm squashing it and twisting all at the same time. So I'm going to continue to do this. Every now and then, just give it a nice roll. I'm going to continue to do this until I have all my clay going around the log. So this is all you need to do. So continue on this process. Okay, so I'm quite happy with the amount of stripes I've got in my log of clay here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to choose the section of the log of clay that I like the best. So I think this one's got some good colours in here. And I'm going to start by creating this into a long shape. So I'm keeping the width like this, but I'm just going to stretch it longer. And if you need to do that on your work surface with an acrylic roller, that's fine. I'm just going to do it this way. And I just want this slim enough this way so it will fit through the pasta machine. So let me just continue working on here. Just like reducing a cane, really. We're just doing it this way. You can see I'm starting to get some stripes here already. Okay, a little bit more and then I'm going to, I know I shouldn't because it's way too fat, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it through the pasta machine. It's pretty soft clay. Just get it a little bit thinner. All right, so I'm going to run this through the pasta machine on the thickest setting. This is now run through on a number 3 setting on my pasta machine, and I'm now going to pull in my rubber stamp. So I'm going to grab my clay. Let me see which side I like the best. I think it'll go down this way. And I'm just going to press my clay into the stamp. making sure that I get the stamp into all the little recesses in the clay. So I'm going to continue to do that. And just get some of this excess clay out of the way. So we don't need that. So I'm just going to make sure this is nicely embedded into my stamp. I'm now going to back this with some gold clay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to embed well into my rubber stamp. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a very sharp tissue blade, and I'm just going to slice off sections of the surface. So let's just make sure that's really well embedded in there. And let's just start by slicing some of the surface off. Now, I don't need to slice down so far. I just really want to slice off a little bit of that excess. I just want to be able to see some little bits of the gold in between. But, you know, you don't have to do it that way. Okay, so it's coming along nicely. Just quickly do a little bit more. Around this side. I'm actually going to gather all of these scraps together, and I'm going to just roll them through the pasta machine and make another colour of clay that I'm going to use to back this. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and I'm pretty happy with that. A couple of little areas here. The reason I added the gold to the back was so I had a bit of a build-up of clay because my original stripe was so thin. I wanted to back it with a bit of gold, so I just had that little bit of excess on the top. So I'm going to create this into a colour, and this is going to sit on the top of here. This clay is run through a number 4 setting on the pasta machine now, and I'm simply going to position it on top of my clay. I'm going to pull in a ceramic tile, and I'm going to flatten it onto the ceramic tiles so that I can remove the stamp nice and easily. Okay, that should be well stuck. Let's remove this and see what's happened. Lovely. So you can see I have some nice raised up areas and some nice recessed areas in here as well. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm actually just going to trim away a little bit of the excess. You don't have to do that bit, but I'm just going to neaten it up slightly. I'm now going to pull in, actually we'll just sit it on a piece of paper because I'm going to bring in my embossing powder now. And I'm simply going to pour embossing powder onto the surface of my clay, and I want it to end up in the recesses of my clay. So I'm just going to do this carefully. Just make sure you get it in all those recessed areas. If it goes on the surface, do you know what? You can't help that. It doesn't really matter. So now if you want to, this step is optional. You can use some type of tool to just go ahead and embed some of that embossing powder quite well into the recessed areas. This will take you a little bit of time, and it will depend also on what stamp you're using as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with mine, and then we'll come back and have a look at the next step. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've embedded some of the powders a little more firmly with my tool, and I'm just going to shake off the excess. So just like this. Remove that paper, and that of course can be recycled. And we're just going to lay that gently down, and the next step is of course to remove the embossing powder from the raised up portions of the clay. And this is going to take you a little time, but if you just work over the piece very gently, we don't want to squish any of that texture, so very, very gently running over the surface. And you can see each time I go over, I remove a little bit extra. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the majority of the embossing powder from the raised up sections of this piece of clay. You can see I've removed the majority of the embossing powder from the surface of this clay. There are a few little specks here and there, but that's okay. I think I'm going to love that. So the very last thing I'm going to do is bring in some multi-x bake paper or baking paper, whatever you've got on hand, and I'm simply going to use a brayer or my acrylic rod to roll over the surface. Now, if the lines in my stripes should get distorted, I'm actually okay with that, because I really don't mind if, you know, they're not perfectly straight. It's quite an organic looking piece anyway, so it's going to be fine. And it's going to be up to you how far you want to roll as well. So I would suggest rolling a small amount. Remove the multi-x bake paper and have a look and see what you end up with. And that's quite lovely. And if you want it to be rolled a little bit further, replace your baking paper and just give it a little bit more of a rollover. It's just going to reduce that texture and intense the look of the embossing powders in the recesses of the clay. So I think I'm happy with that now. Remove that, and we've got a gorgeous looking sheet of clay that you can do all sorts of things with. Let's just remove that from here. And there you are. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'm really not sure what to call it, but yeah, just some really cool fun with embossing powders and texture. So thanks for watching, everyone, today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.